This is picking up on my introduction to the second module. Sorry about the pause. The third paper I'm inviting you to read, and I don't think these are difficult papers. The third paper is specifically about one approach to action research, methodology. And I don't like the term methodology actually these days, because action research isn't a method. It's a whole different approach, a whole different way of conceiving research. As I've said already, research with people rather than research on people. And there are many approaches. There are the first-person approaches, which, for example, Bill Torbert and Judy Marshall would argue, where you're living your own life as a process of inquiry. There's the second-person approaches, of which cooperative inquiry is, I think, and I would do, wouldn't I, because I'm part of one of the people that thought it up, is a clearly articulated way of working in a face-to-face group. Not to say that it's as easy to do as it is to write about. But there are many other kinds of versions. There's appreciative inquiry, there's participative action research, which evolved in the developing world, particularly in Africa and South America, which has a very strong political bias about liberation. There's feminist action research. There's the different categories are limitless. One of the things that I saw myself as doing when I was editing the handbook was trying to draw these together as cousins within the same family of approaches. And my late colleague Orlando Falsborda from Columbia was very keen, as one of the originators of participatory action research, was very keen to create a South-North dialogue. And we have 2 or 3 world congresses which aim to do that. So I'm giving you one paper which is a good way of starting, but don't think that is what action research is. I just say I've added to the alternative reading a couple of things. One is the introduction to the second edition of the handbook, which gives you first, second and third person action research practices. I've also added a paper by my, again, late lamented, departed friend, Brian Goodwin. Brian was a complexity theorist and he's a biologist, first of all, and a complexity theorist and mathematician as well. And he wrote, I think, a very interesting paper called From Control to Participation via a Science of Qualities, which is one way of showing how a participatory method can be developed for the natural sciences, if I can use that traditional term. So I hope you find use in those papers. And I want to say one other thing, which is about the project. One of the aspects of a participatory worldview, one of the parts of it, the notion that the practice is so important, is about our own behavior. And what I'd like you to do, as well as intellectually devouring these papers, is to put something into practice, to watch your own behavior while you're reading these during this coming week, during the first week of Module 1, indeed during the second week, and notice ways in which your own behavior evokes participation with other people or with the wider world, and/or with the wider world. It's very easy for us to act, all of us, to act unilaterally, to behave in such a way that is assertive rather than inquiring. Action research is based on an ability to engage with others in dialogue. The first steps in action research are always to propose something, for somebody to propose something, but at the same time to inquire from other people what they want to do. And that's the essence of I think what Paulo Freire, which we'll look at later, would say is a dialogical, is a liberatory approach. So I'd like you to look at your own behaviour, conduct a little inquiry around the question, how participative is my behaviour? How engaging, how dialogical on a day-to-day basis? And maybe just write a paragraph or two in your paper that addresses that question as well as what grabs you in the literature.